Hello, welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our tactical debrief for Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 2, where we go in depth on Aston Villa, average positions, passing networks, areas of importance. We go through individual standout performers and we take a look at some of the screen grabs from the game as well. Earl is with us, AVFC Scout. He's linked to his channel, etc. is in the description. You can check him out on his socials. All of the slides are done by Earl, so he's been busy again. A lot of you really enjoyed the episode last week, so share this episode, give it some love, drop some likes. Let's try and get 1,000 likes as well. Comment your thoughts. Earl, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Disappointed with the result, but definitely positives to take.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully, once everybody's watched this episode, they'll have a clear indication of the direction that we're going in. A lot of good things were in that performance, and hopefully we can sort of bring out the things that just aren't glaringly obvious that make that performance good. I think, especially on my fan cam, as soon as I walked out the ground, I wasn't disappointed that we lost. I felt that we'd done a lot of good stuff, and the stuff that I looked for was the stuff that I was seeing. So I imagine you're exactly the same. So what were your sort of like overriding thoughts on the performance?
Yeah, tough team, isn't it, Arsenal? They're going to be right up there at the end of the season. But we went toe-to-toe with them. I think the match could have gone either way, to be honest. If we won that game, we could have drawn that game, and it wouldn't have been out of the ordinary, really. So I think it's very positive that we competed with them and we were there right with them to the end, or pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's massive. I mean, you said just that we could have won it, we could have drawn it, we lost it. Emery said exactly the same thing. And I think when a manager comes out saying that, I think Emery's pretty honest in all of his post-match interviews. He calls it how it is. And if he's happy, he'll say he's happy. And I think he was really happy with that performance. And I think, like you say, it could have gone either way with the goals, the momentum of the game. And I think the pleasing aspects were that we did well off the ball, which was one of the things that really impressed me. The shape off the ball, the limiting Arsenal to set pieces, and we know how good they are. And I just felt like that was a big part of Villa's game off the ball. We were able to manipulate Arsenal into certain areas that I thought was really good as well. We were able to move them into the areas that we were comfortable to see Arsenal have the ball. And I think if you look over the course, especially the first half, there was only that real Saka chance that they had in the first half, and I think that was a testament to Villa's style. And I think we're gonna see a lot of that because we're gonna be coming up this season into so many, elite teams. This season in the Champions League, especially, we're gonna be playing a lot of teams that are probably better than us. I think in the Premier League, we come up against teams that we really can compete with and get results. Whereas if you're talking about we're coming up against Barca, Real Madrid, those elite leveled sides that you're going to come up against, then off the ball work is going to be vitally important. And I think there's been a big impetus on that with this team, even in pre-season. I think a lot of the work has been done without the ball. And I think Emery said in his interview after the game that you can control a game without the ball. And I think that's such a great phrase that he's used. And I think that highlighted to me what we're actually doing at times. Sometimes we might be sitting off and, you might be thinking, we need to go, we need to engage. But I think we're so comfortable that that's part of our tactical shape now. So, yeah. Do you want to add anything before we go into sort of like the actual Villa shape?
No, yeah, it's a good point because Arsenal are similar to us at times, when we're kind of playing it round the back and we want them to come on to us. At times, Arsenal wanted us to, be drawn out and come on to them. But, like you say, even though they had majority of possession, especially in the first half, thought we controlled the game by staying disciplined. sticking to the game plan, executing, defending well, and limiting what they could do really. The press as well. Arsenal had a bit of a press, and I thought we played out very well. So yeah, control without the ball.
Yeah, I love it though. I absolutely love it. Right, so let's have a little look now then at all of your slides on the game as well then. So I'll let you talk us through it. But the one thing that I have slightly noticed a little bit on this is that I think the importance of the central two on build-up playing out from the back has got a little bit more important. I think you can see one of those sort of dropping a little bit more and taking on that role of sort of setting up that sort of possession-based game as well. So talk to me through this then. Average positions of Villa in the first half.
Yeah. Well, first thing I noticed a bit lopsided. Right side a bit higher than the left. Probably due to Arsenal personnel, really, with Saka and White and even Odegaard on that side as well. It's a lot stronger, isn't it, on that side for Arsenal? So our guys on the left had their work cut out for them, didn't they? On the right hand side, I thought Costa, he had to come in with cash going off, didn't he? And thought he gave a really confident account of himself, especially up against Martinelli. I thought he did well against Martinelli in the first half.
Yeah, me too. I think it was a really mature performance from Costa. I mean, 18 years of age. I mean, what a game to be thrusted into. And that game is so intense tactically, and having to be that disciplined and that aware and knowing what's going on around you and coming up against a winger like Martinelli, who's quick, he's fiery, he's got a bit of an edge about him as well. I think he really handled that well. And I think, yeah, you can see tactically here, you've got McGinn and Luca Dean. McGinn has to do that role. He has to double up, on Saka because he's so dangerous. And you've got Odegaard that fills into that pocket as well. So, yeah, I think we had to do a bit of defending, but I think our shape was really good. Second half, I think you could probably see that we've pushed on a little bit more. Is that what you're getting from this?
Yeah, average positions you can see just right from the off were higher up. That's partly because we went a goal behind and we not chasing the game, but had to come out a bit. But even at the start of the second half, I thought we came out, we were the best team up until they scored. Maybe you could say against the run of play even, and then again once the substitutes came on, I think you can see Ramsey was just a lot higher than what McGinn was, but he offered a lot more going forward, to be honest, than what McGinn did.
Yeah, and I kind of want to show you, we'll go to the passing network and then we'll have a little bit of a look at Martinez's kicking game, because I know you highlighted to me straight after the game, you were like, his kicking was long and it wasn't that successful. So I think that's important to note. And I think you can kind of get this from the passing network. And I think it was a tactic that we wanted to do. We wanted to go a bit longer. We wanted to bypass a bit of that midfield. And if you can get that bit of hold up, you can get someone like Rodgers on the ball, on transition, driving forward, exploiting that Arsenal back three. That looked like that was a fundamental ploy from Emery. So talk to me about the passing network.
Yeah, I mean it's not as pretty as last week, I guess, the passing network. But watching the game, I thought we dealt with Arsenal quite well. I think that maybe a few loose passes here and there, but generally playing out, I thought we dealt with their press quite well. I think this week on the side there, the top combinations, the only kind of passing combinations that had over 10 between them this week was Martinez and Conte and vice versa. Whereas last week against West Ham, it was pretty much 10s all the way down, wasn't it? So you can see it really impacted kind of the pass network, not having the ball for large spells. And then like you say, there was a bit more direct play maybe from Martinez at times. Obviously, not always. There you go. So I think that's 5 or 6 went direct into the front line. There's a few from Pau Torres as well. Obviously, we did play it short most of the time, but yeah, some of those launches to the front line were pretty unsuccessful. And highlighting this, it's not on Martinez. It's more about what interested me, thinking about Watkins and how Saliba, Gabriel, Partey, they were kind of all over him, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like they were manhandling him, weren't they? There was a couple in there that I think there was there was 2, I think, where he got sort of like just chucked to the floor and like the ref was just like, no, nothing. And you're like, come on, man. Like, you've literally you're all over the back of him and he weren't giving it. So I do reckon there might have been a couple in there that he probably should have had a green line, because he should have won the ball a couple of times and the ref was just not allowing us to have the foul, really, which is frustrating. But I think this all shows that the tactical fluidity of Emery, really, that he can see these different areas and these different parts to a game that we need to change, and he's willing to change. I think in football you see a lot of teams that just literally, I mean, I got to think of Everton. They're the ones for me that it's literally, I feel like I just see them play the same every week. They just do the same stuff. There's no tactical flexibility. Whereas Emery, you will see that, from West Ham to Arsenal, we've played 2 different ways, and yeah, it's not worked out. But I think everybody can see that in that game against Arsenal, there was a lot of good stuff, and it's fine margins, isn't it, between it working and not working in the Premier League. And unfortunately, we were on the end of a 2-0 loss. But I think this next graphic for me sort of highlights how well we played. The chances were there. We had, more shots than Arsenal. We're getting in really good areas. There's a lot of shots there for Villa that are in the 18-yard box, which is always a good barometer, really. I think sometimes when you see a team that could have 18, 20 shots and half of them are from outside the box, I don't think that's a real good barometer, really. But I want to see chances in there. I want to see shots in there. I want to see us hitting the target at times as well and sort of making the keeper work. And I think this graphic highlights that we were well in this game for large periods of it, really. So this was your new graphic that you brought to the table. I'm not seeing anybody doing this, so it's great stuff. So talk to me about the areas of influence then.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's similar to the average positions, but I'm trying to show the whole kind of area where they had most of their touches, most of their defensive actions, most of the passes, etc. So it's shown a similar thing again with Dean and Pau Torres having to play a lot in our own half and in our own box, to be honest, playing out. I think if you can compare it to last week, it's similar in some ways, but what's quite striking, if you go back and check last week's episode, far fewer touches from our defence in the opposition half, really, especially Pau. I think it's going to be a good measuring stick of how well we've controlled the game, really, is how many touches Pau Torres has had in the opposition half. Because if we're in control of the game, really, he's going to be up there. So he had a few forays into the opposition half, but not like last week.
Yeah, again though, like Nedeljkovic, I mean, look how advanced he's getting there, which is just pleasing to see from like an 18-year-old. And we've kind of got a graphic in a second because, I think Nedeljkovic was good. And I think what you can see is that he edges more into like a bit of a central area as well at times. And I think when you start to see his touches in a second, you'll be able to see this. But I think the midfield two was really good. I think Tielemans had a really good game. I remember when we signed him and people were saying that he's fat and he can't run and he's not fit and his legs have gone. And, he's one of them players that, because he's had loads of games early on in his career, he's going to be one of them that sort of slows down at sort of like 27, 28. But he was everywhere. Like the amount of times that he was nicking the ball off an Arsenal player and covering ground. And I'm going to say it. He has took this Luis position and he's owning it at the minute for me. He's playing really, really well. And I think the two are complementing each other as well, which is absolutely massive. So, you could touch on the Watkins, Rodgers, Bailey, McGinn. Is there anything worth noting in here?
Yeah, for me, first of all, McGinn. So he's got the yellow bubble, and then there's my algorithm's given a tiny little yellow bubble next to Watkins on the left. So majority of his touches was in our own half. Rodgers, as you can see, was absolutely everywhere in midfield, up and down. And then Bailey, where you expect him to be honest.
Yeah, we will get into Rodgers in a second as well, and we'll talk about that. But something pleasing that I picked up on early on in the game, and I think the Villa press at times can get overlooked. No one mentions it. But I think it was interesting here that we were playing a 4-2-4 at times in the press, which was really quite attacking to see at times. And this is for the Watkins chance. And you can kind of see there's a little bit of a trigger where they decide to go. And when they go, and they retrieve and win the ball. You can see a real nice press on Gabriel here from Bailey. And he sort of gets it caught under his feet, doesn't he? He sort of panics and he's like, oh, where's this going to go? Bailey really manhandles him, wins the ball. Rodgers sets us away. And then we have the chance, Earl. We have the chance. What are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can say, to be honest, that's different than what everyone else is thinking. It's a big chance and didn't come off.
Yeah, but I think the press was quite pleasing there. You can see sort of like the early engagement of where we're at and how we set, and it really works and ends up with us in this situation. And I mean, the goal's gaping in it. It's gotta hit the back of the net, hasn't it? Really, there's no.
Yeah, just quite. I watched it back a few times. He kind of trips over his own feet just before he gets it, and it just slightly puts him off. But he did all right. He gave the keeper the eyes. He sent Raya was diving the wrong way. It just didn't put on target.
Yeah, and talking about sending someone the wrong way, Morgan Rodgers nearly sent Declan Rice back to West Ham. The amount of times he turned him, twisted him, he was just an absolute terror for Declan Rice. Thomas Partey couldn't cope with Rodgers either. He was on his arse about 3 or 4 times, and he was so good, Rodgers. It's a standout performance. It's a performance where it feels like everybody has took notice this weekend of Morgan Rodgers and realised how good he is, how powerful he is. But not only that, he is quick. He has got a good turn pace, but he's got this ability to sort of like slow things down and drag players to him, bump them off, and then he's gone. And he had a real standout performance, and it was so pleasing to see. I think we can see here now, it's just some of the images here of how he's able to twist and turn Declan Rice and spin him off into just spin him off into different areas, really. And Rice just absolutely couldn't live with him. And this one here, this one's reminding me of like sending him back to West Ham in a different time zone, because he just don't know where he's gone, does he? It was just fantastic to see. We've got him here, spinning Partey, driving through Partey here. Declan Rice scrambling around for dear life to try and get the ball off him. And the only thing that you can do is bring him down and take him out. And there was just so many occasions where we've got Partey on the floor again. We've got him driving through their midfield, taking through Trossard with him. Earl, this was a big performance from Rodgers, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Sky Sports on TV. Everyone's watching because it's Villa v Arsenal. He's just made a name for himself. I think a lot of people, Villa fans obviously know about him. A lot of people would have been watching that game who wouldn't have known Morgan Rodgers probably. So he's brilliant game. And these midfielders that we're talking about, Rice, Partey, these are, they're known for their physicality, and he's shrugging them off, turning them, and it was a great performance. Again, maybe lacking a bit of end product, but I'm not sure there were too many occasions where he could have done too much more, to be honest.
I mean, what I would say to add to that is, I felt like at times his partner and Villa's forward line wasn't there at times. A couple of those times where he's driving, he really had a couple of limited options, players to find. There was one moment in the second half when he was running with Duran, and Duran's run wasn't that great, and he couldn't really find anyone. And it sort of, in the back of my mind, I was sort of feeling like, especially on that left-hand side, Luca Dean played well, defended really well, but a fully fit running Maatsen offers another outlet completely for Rodgers. And I think even when we've seen like McGinn's position, like we've seen McGinn on the left, and you've all seen how deep he is, where he hasn't got that outlet on the left because McGinn's been so deep. So I think because hasn't got the limited options, sometimes he's not in a position to shoot, but he shoots and it's not the right option. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with what people are saying, that end product does need to improve, but I agree with what you're saying as well. I don't mind at times, he's going in, gets a shot and then wins a corner like we've seen, because we're good at set pieces. So it's promising signs, and he's only going to keep getting better. He's only just turned 22, hasn't he? So I think that his 13th Premier League game actually as well. So it's still early days.
Yeah, it's mad really. And I think when you look at here, so you look at his area of influence, it's straight down the middle. And that's him to a T now. And I think this sort of shadow striker role really suits him. And I think he's starting to turn it into his own position now. And like what you're saying, he just needs the numbers now. He needs an assist. He needs the goals. So you can start seeing that, the output's coming from it as well. Because I think at the minute we can all see that like the performance is there, but like we want the numbers to back those up as well. And that's when he's going to start really flourishing as well. And the England, I don't know, he's England manager / not quite the manager. He was watching. Yeah. So and he had him at the younger ages as well. So he knows all about Rodgers. So he must have been really pleased with that performance as well. We have sort of touched on Tielemans as well, but how do you feel like that midfield balance with him and Onana is?
Yeah, firstly on Tielemans, I thought he was really good, to be honest. There were a few times where I was like certain he was going to lose the ball, 2 Arsenal players on him, or however many, and he did some, cute little dribble and flicks, turned defenders, got through. And if you look at his passes as well, he got beat the press and a lot of forward passes. So I thought it was, look at most of those in the middle there, directly forward. That's when he's beat the press and, passed it through to Rodgers or whoever. So I thought it was quite an impressive performance from Tielemans.
Yeah, and I think he's got that link up with Rodgers quite nice as well. I think we saw in pre-season that there was one of the goals where, was it when Ramsey scored, and it was like a nice little 1-2, and it's that forward pass, and there's a good connection there, and I really enjoy watching Tielemans because I think he's like industrious, but he's got that creative flair about him as well, and yeah, he's a real good player to watch, and I enjoy watching him. So we've touched on him quite a bit. Well, I have anyway. Nedeljkovic. What were your thoughts on Nedeljkovic then?
Yeah, I thought he had a good game. Like I say, against Martinelli, Trossard came on and gave him a few problems, obviously for the goal and whatnot. But I mean, nothing out of the ordinary that any other right back in the Premier League against Arsenal, would be doing. And at 18, like we say, it's just I think it's incredible what he's done with the confidence level, and like you say, you see on the graphic here, you come on and he's been very high and overlapping Bailey and working with Leon Bailey. So I think that's quite interesting from a tactical perspective as well, where probably a lot of people thought Carlos might have started this game, and then especially when Cash got injured, me included, I thought maybe Carlos is going to come on here and Konsa's going to go to right back. But I think that just showed, like we say, a tactical tweak from Emery, maybe, since that maybe was slightly changing the way that we want to play. He wanted that attacking right back. He started with Cash, and then when Cash had to come off, he stuck with that attacking right back.
Yeah, I really like him. I liked him in pre-season, and I just thought he's just done well every time I've seen him play. Really, I think 18 years of age to be playing against Arsenal, that will have done him like the world of good. Really, like he'll walk off that pitch thinking, do you know what? I've played well there, and Emery will obviously keep him grounded, but he seems quite a grounded lad anyway, and he fit. And what I like about him is I like that he backs himself a little bit. He did that interview in before pre-season, saying like, I really want to sort of make the most of this and show what I can do. And I really like that steely attitude that he's got. And I think another player that I don't think we've got a player like this, but I think Rodgers' sort of personality is quite unique for Villa, that he really like backs himself a little bit, and I get a sense of he's got that same trait as a bit like Cole Palmer. He's just got that bit of swagger, that little bit of something, that little bit of bite about him, like on the pitch, and you see it really. Like he's coming up against players and he's just bumping them off, and he doesn't care who it is. He just keeps going, and he's hard working, he's grounded, and he wants to improve, and he wants to learn. And I think under Emery, 8 million for Middlesbrough. When he came in, everyone was a bit like, he's not even playing well for Middlesbrough. And in the space of 8 months now, he's performing like this. And I think if he adds goals and assists to his game now, which I don't think are far away, I think he's just gonna keep getting better. I think his ceiling is so high, and I think he's just that attitude, like he's just brilliant. Like I saw Cole Palmer, and he's doing his media day for Chelsea, and they were like, "Can you do like 1, 2, 3 like for a hat trick?" And he was like, "What about if I score 4 though?" And so they were going like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was like, that type of mentality is quite unique, really. There's not many players that would think like that, and I think Rodgers, he's schooled from the same camp, isn't he? Like, he's been at Man City, he's been with Palmer.
I'd throw Onana into that as well. That bit of confidence and swagger, and I think he's been at Villa two competitive games now. He looks a completely different player. I think he's said something similar himself, but he's a completely different player to what Everton had. Progressive passing, like carrying down the middle, and all these young players getting the minutes now, and they are contributing, but it's only going to benefit us down the line as well.
Yeah, you forget sometimes that you think, okay, it's all about their playing ability, but I think sometimes you want the personality as well. Like they look at different personalities of what they're like and what they can get out of them, and I think it gets overlooked, and I think it's quite massive, really. And I think I always go back to this, that like over the years we've just had like people come in and they're like happy to be here, and they don't back it. Like, I think a lot of the players now really do, back up their ability, and they're not scared of saying certain things. Where I think over the years it's been like, oh, don't say that. We're like Villa, we're cursed. We are, like, you don't want to be saying you want to win a trophy, like.
Yeah, confidence and leadership, isn't it? There was a point, a couple of seasons ago where it was all on Tyrone Mings, really, talking and being that leader on the pitch. We look at the last two games, and even the end of last season as well. We've got players all over the pitch, McGinn, Bailey, even, and the young lads coming through have that confidence already, and that they have that bit of leadership about them. So Conte is, becoming more of a leader. Pau Torres coming in, he was a bit of a leader from the start. But yeah, we just got a lot more leaders all over the pitch. Tielemans as well. Almost 11 leaders.
Yeah, and I think what you get with that as well sometimes is you see a lot of stuff on social media, don't you? And you see a lot of like people saying that McGinn shouldn't be in the team, like McGinn, but he can't come out because he's the captain, and I just don't really see that as the case, really. I don't think McGinn should come out of the team, by the way. But what I'm saying is that if McGinn goes off the pitch, there are other leaders on there, whereas in the past it's felt like the captain has to stay on the pitch because he's the only one that can lead the team. But I think there's so many leaders now in there that I think that can do that. Substitutions changed the game for Villa last week. A substitution changed the game for Arsenal. We also made some substitutions with McGinn going off, Ramsey coming on. So what I'm going to say is, obviously we can see here now from this graphic that Trossard scores pretty much his first touch. How do you feel like, do you think those substitutions for Villa weakened us in a way that it disrupted our rhythm at the time or not?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it was just, for want of a better word, just a bit of bad luck, honestly. I think a few seconds before this, I think Luca Dean does well on Saka. He stops him initially, doesn't he? With a bit of it wasn't a successful tackle, but he pushes him back. Just doesn't quite have the legs anymore to keep with Saka when he made that run down the line, and then he plays this ball across the box, and maybe a couple of people could have got to it. I forget who that was on the ground. Was it Tielemans maybe, who just nearly gets a foot to it, and then Rodgers comes in and he gets a foot to it, but unfortunately just lays it off to Trossard. So it's, for want of a better word, I know people say you make your own luck and these kind of things, but it's just that little bit of luck that made the difference. But something with Villa, once we did concede, don't know if it's something with Villa or the other team just getting that confidence, momentum. But once we concede, we were kind of under the cosh a bit. From then, lost a lot of momentum, and they went on to get the second one. But it was similar against West Ham. When they scored the penalty, then West Ham had a little bit more joy and got into the game. So yeah, I don't know if it's something with us or something with just the opposition getting a boost, obviously, when they score.
I think you're right. I think going back to the goal, you can see Trossard's position sort of here. He's sort of like blindsiding us a little bit, and he arches his run. He's fantastic at this, by the way. Like this is like a Trossard goal and finish, isn't it? It's like he finds space, peels off. Unfortunately, it falls to him, but it does. But that's what he does. Like that, he gets in that space. So I think it's really good movement from him. But yeah, I don't know. Like you say, it's like momentum, isn't it? It's like it feels like we've done so well that when it goes in, it's like a sucker punch. But
Yeah,
like you say, I think it's important, and it's going to be important this season that especially away from home, Champions League, Premier League, that you just get back on track. Like you just keep going, and maybe we just need that a 2-minute spell of possession where we just get on it and knock it about and calm it down. And so
I don't know if it's kind of ruin missed chances as well. And that's kind of sucking the momentum out of it, because it's similar to West Ham, where we had a couple of chances, could have made it 2 or 3, and then West Ham get a goal, and then it's drops the momentum a bit. Similar thing with Arsenal, could have had a goal, could have had 2, and then Arsenal score, and it's just I don't know, but something we need to get better at. I think once we concede, take control of the game, like you say, maybe have a couple of minutes possession and get back into the game.
Yeah. So, I mean, all in all, I think it was a competitive performance from Villa, which is pleasing to see against a team that are going to be obviously fighting and challenging for the league, really. And I think even in a loss, you can see the positive signs, the shape, the system. We're not just camped on our box for, say, 90 minutes scrambling around to try and just do something. So I think that's pleasing. So started the season with a win and a loss. Early thoughts on Leicester? Are you confident in that? Do you think that type of game away from home, do you think it'll suit us? Do you think we'll have a lot of the ball?
Yeah, I think well, any game away from home in the Premier League is difficult. So we've got to take it seriously. It's not a given 3 points by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, I'd like to see us have a lot more control away from home, like we did against West Ham. We're capable of winning that game. So yeah, we've got a decent run of fixtures coming up. So hopefully, build up some points.
And finally, transfer window shuts this week. What are you hoping for? How many are coming in?
It's got to be one maximum, hasn't it? I can't see any more than one. And we're at the point as well where it's looking like it's going to be 1 in, 1 out. I think we've got the targets, who we all know have been mentioned, and probably hinging on whatever happens with Diego Carlos. Not sure. Fulham's obviously quieting down because they've signed Anderson. We've got a few of the lads leaving on loan, and that's no negative on them. Going out on loan, Enzo and Samuel Ling Jr. It looks like those are two good players who I think will contribute for us in the future. But yeah, we've seen Cam Archer leave as well. I'm just not sure. It feels a bit late to me. Don't know about you.
I think I don't think we'd want it to be this late, but I think it's what happens in the window. I just think there's a couple that I reckon we've worked on, we've spoke to, that we just maybe not there financial package wise, but I think, some clubs probably like stick their chest out and go, nah, you're not having him, like he's not going, and we're like, all right, can't do it. And then deadline, it's like we go in and you're like, okay, take it or leave it. And sometimes some blink, don't they? But I do think we need one. Two would be ideal. We haven't really got any loans come in, have we? So that's quite interesting. So last season we utilised that market pretty well with like Longley, Zaniolo. So maybe something comes in, but like Emery keeps saying, like he just wants proper quality coming in, and
that's what I'm saying. I wouldn't just buy anyone. It has to be for me someone that improves the first 11. I think I might have said this before when I've been on, but I think we've got the depth. I think we're fine for depth. So for me, it has to be someone that Emery and Monchi want, and who will improve the first 11. You look at the match day squad and the bench we've had for the past 2 games. We've got a good bench. If you bring in another player and someone's not left, we're leaving Enzo Barrenechea out of the squad. Bringing someone else, it's like who are we leaving out of the squad? And looking down the list, down the bench, I'm not sure who I would leave out. So if we are bringing someone in, it's got to be someone good. I don't just want anyone kind of thing.
Yeah, you're spot on, really. So hopefully, everyone, you've all enjoyed it. We've gone in depth on it. It's sometimes disappointing that it's a loss, but there's still a lot to learn. Still a work in progress. So full content will be out this week. We've got Champions League we find our teams on Thursday. So that's going to be absolutely unbelievable. I mean, if you're feeling down about a loss, there's that way you can lift yourself up a little bit. But and then we've got transfer window shuts Friday, so that's going to be interesting as well. And we'll have all of our normal content coming out as well. So, cheers for coming on, mate.
Yeah, cheers. Up the Villa.